Hi, Senator. This is Robin Anderson with the Chamber of Commerce serving North Iowa.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who's joining us today. We have a great opportunity to hear. It sounds like it's going to be a pretty productive day in the Senate.
Well, we certainly hope so.
I think we have several members on with us today representing a real cross section of business and industry. And I think what we'll do is, Senator, probably just have you tee it up because you are most in the know about what's going on today.
Oh, well, thank you.
I love your pin.
I know, I couldn't believe I had it here in Iowa.
Well, thank you.
But thank you. Yes, my last trip up to Mason City, I think I was given this, so I make sure I keep it handy. But thank you, everybody, so much. It is great to be with you today, and we do hope that we will have funding opportunities for our Paycheck Protection Program very soon. So we have been working on this through the weekend and here the last several days as well, trying to find that path forward. And I do think we will have some plussed up dollars going into PPP. We did run through that initial funding stream, $349 billion fast. But that speaks to the popularity of the program and the desperate need for our small businesses to be supported. And because it is a forgivable loan, as long as 75% of those expenses are going towards payroll, it is just a great opportunity to keep employees on payroll, keep them with their employer, receiving those benefits. That is very, very important. So again, hoping that we have some good news here very, very soon. And with that funding, we also anticipate that we'll be able to see additional supports for our healthcare systems. We are seeking another $75 billion on top of the $100 billion that was in the CARES Act. So that will be substantial as well. And we are asking, until we can get the funding into the PPP, we are asking that SBA and those lenders continue to process those loan applications so that when we do have the funds available, they can be pushed out of the door as quickly as possible. So there's a little bit of good news on the horizon. The president did tweet earlier today. I saw his tweet. He hopes to get this done soon and then start rolling into some other plans for this summer and fall as we continue to look at potential phase 4 packages, but also continuing to work on the infrastructure package that we have in front of us at the Senate as well. So that will be good news for all of Iowa. We did pass out of committee the EPW, Environment and Public Works Committee, one of the committees I sit on. We passed out the FAST Act. That's the Highway Reauthorization Bill. It is a plussed up bill. It came out of our Senate committee last year, and it was passed out of that committee 21-0. So it just speaks of the bipartisanship in that area and how we are able to work together. What we would like to do is combine that now with the Water Resources Development Act, the WRDA bill that we're working on right now as well. So combining those two packages together, and then even going a step further and perhaps tying in the rural broadband bill as well. We would love to do that. And Roger Wicker chairs Commerce. That's where the rural broadband bill would need to come from. But Roger is also on the Environment and Public Works Committee as well. So we're all in just broad agreement that this would be a really wonderful way for us to move our economy forward, as well as do something extremely constructive for our constituents. So I'll stop right there. And if you have questions, I sure would love to take those, Robin, so we can do that.
Well, Senator, we had some questions submitted. and I'll just go ahead and ask those.
Okay.
Some are pretty specific. The Paycheck Protection Program loans require funding within 10 calendar days of the application. Now, this has been a burden on community banks that are trying to fund the program as quickly as possible. They've heard that the SBA is not strictly adhering to that 10-day rule,
Right.
but do you know if they're going to remove that requirement or change the number of days?
Yeah, I can't tell you if when that will happen, but we have raised that issue with Secretary Mnuchin and Administrator Carranza at the SBA. So they are well aware of those issues out there. And bottom line, we just want to make sure that those dollars are getting out as quickly as possible. And so allowing some flexibility we feel would be reasonable.
Another thing with that program, there are interim final rules that have been issued, but there's continued issuance of new interpretation, and the banks are really looking for more clarification on the definition and calculation of the forgiveness. Without getting more clarification, they're just worried that there's going to be a bigger backlog down the road with the SBA.
Right. No, and that as well, we have heard from others, and you know, I always respond to when I get these questions because we push the package out so quickly for SBA and Treasury to get all of those rules written. It wasn't completely ironed out before those programs were put into place. So we are trying to work through those issues. And what I would recommend too is if the lenders have specific questions or specific instances of businesses that maybe need something clearly defined, is to please reach out to my office, and we can work directly with SBA and with the Treasury and kind of refine some of those definitions as well. But overall, it has been rather piecemeal, but again, it's been, you know, a $349 billion package that we were just trying to get out as quickly as possible to those businesses. So just please reach out to us, and we are happy to help and find the answer. And also, as we're doing that, I've had a number of discussions with Secretary Mnuchin and the administrator over at SBA, and my team works very, very well with all of the folks on the ground there in DC. But it's great that we get that information coming from you and various businesses across Iowa, because then we can identify some real issues and then kind of help refine that and have a voice in that process as well.
Okay. You know, Mason City in North Iowa, we are well known for our arts and culture.
Yes, you are.
And the NEA received a large allocation in phase 3 of the CARES Act. What we've run into, though, in trying to assist our many members who are arts and cultural organizations and nonprofits, is that they are ineligible for that funding because the only eligible entities are those who have received NEA grants in the previous 3 years, or starting with the 17 grants. That just seems like those are the ones that should be ineligible, not eligible for this, because it's a lot of funding.
Right. It is a lot of funding, and we are aware of this issue. And I have reached out, my staff is reaching out as well to the NEA to try and work through that as well, because we do believe those dollars should go to different entities. So I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay, thanks. That would be a help. And
yeah.
You know, everybody's favorite is our farmers. And I heard today that there was maybe $1 billion that was going to be used to purchase food and produce and provide it to food banks. That's a great start. Is there additional planned relief for farmers?
There is a number of different packages that will go through USDA, so dollars that will go to the Commodity Credit Corporation and other types of supports. And as you mentioned, then the purchase of various types of commodities, whether it's dairy, meat that has already been through the packing facilities. That's great, but we do have a bit of a crisis on the front end of agriculture right now, and that's raising those animals and then getting them to the packing facilities and then on into our food supply chain or into the retailers. And so what discussions we've had, we have a lot of large producers that won't be receiving nearly enough to keep their employees on, to keep them supported. We do have great supports in place for our smaller producers, but those that are producing about 80% of our lean proteins out there, they won't be supported adequately. And so we are at a point, especially with the problems we're seeing in the packing facilities with COVID-19, now it's narrowing that funnel even more. And so we are approaching a point where our hog producers are trying to make that decision. Do we euthanize our animals? And they are having such a significant loss. And then if you start thinking about the amount of animals that might need to be euthanized, then we also have other disposal issues and so forth. So there's some real angst out there with hog producers, with those in the cattle industry, you name it. Every sector of agriculture is being hit up one side and down the other. So I spoke with Secretary Perdue over the weekend on some of the USDA plans. We know that there are more supports needed, and not just for animals and livestock, but also those that are in the biofuels industry. And that is not an avenue that is supported through these USDA packages. And I've spoken to Perdue about that, and there's just not enough dollars to go around in that space. And so what we're trying to do is find other avenues for biofuels. There is a lot going on there, and we recognize that as we move forward, that likely in a phase 4, we would need to address some of these situations.
With that, we have such a nice cross-section joining us on this meeting. So I think we'd like to open it up, and Colleen, can people just unmute their line and ask the question?
They can.
Okay.
Great.
Well, so participants, this is your opportunity.
So, Robin, thank you. I'll go first. This is Scott Smith, Senator Ernst,
Hi,
General
Scott.
Manager of the Diamond Joe Casino in Northwood.
Yeah.
First I want to say thank you for sending the letter on behalf of the IGA to Senator Rubio and Cardin to try to get some clarification for the casino industry on that language for small business loans. As you know, the industry in Iowa employs over 8,800 people and has a $1 billion economic impact. So very significant within the state of Iowa of what we go and do. Do you know with the new potential coming out, is there any difference in language that may go and include the casino industry?
There is not yet, Scott. It is still an issue that we are working on. We have made our case, and hopefully we can get provisions included then. There, I think, will be a slightly different formula, of course, for the gaming institutions, but we're working through that. So hopefully we can get that provision in. But I haven't heard definitively that it will be included.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And that was a good question. Thank you.
Senator Ernst, this is Bob Clucky from First Citizens Bank.
Yeah, hi, Bob.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Thanks, first of all, for joining North Iowans in this troubled times. But question that I had is, in the first round of PPP, the For example, the Mason City Chamber, the Clear Lake Chamber, North Iowa corridor, the development, were
Right.
not eligible for the PPP, and that is something I don't know if you know if it's in the second provisions. It's completely vital that those payrolls be maintained.
Right.
Those are the organizations that'll guide us through this.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you're speaking of the C6 organizations?
Yes.
Right, exactly. And every chamber economic development group that I've talked to has raised this issue. And I spoke to the Ames Chamber and Economic Development yesterday, and again, same issue. And no, again, same situation as gaming. We haven't had the changes that we want to see yet. Not to say it's not going to happen. We continue to push for that, but we just haven't gotten the indication back that it will be included in the next round of PPP. But we keep pushing. We recognize the issue out there, and what we're trying to do is collect those examples then from all of our different organizations, the employees that you do have, the employees that need to be supported. You are very similar to any other sort of small business nonprofit that's out there working for the good of the community. So I will keep pushing, and if you can just continue providing me with the information and the stories to help back up some of my pushes, that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Bob. Thank you. Anyone else? I know I can't put you all on the spot. I can't see you all in one room.
Are there any bankers who have specific questions that you could let the senator know what challenges other than just not enough money?
Hi, Senator. This is Marty Rademacher with
Marty, yes, and you've got a daughter getting ready to graduate.
I sure do, yes.
The answer is yes. I'll just let you know right now. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We are wondering from a community bank standpoint if there might be a particular carve out in the new PPP deal that we're concerned that the big banks are going to come and swallow this up very, very rapidly. And we want to make sure that we can serve our small communities.
Right, exactly. And there will be, that is something that has, well, I will say that is part of the plan right now. I do know that. Now that could change at any minute, of course, but that is something that we were able to negotiate as part of this next package. And we were able to make that point, is that we have a lot of smaller local lenders that really are trying to serve the needs of small business across the United States, and they are not getting that same level of opportunity. So as it stands today, that is something that we do have included in the package.
Great,
So
great news on both accounts. Great news on both accounts. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. And congratulations to you.
Do we have some small businesses on the line that might want to share your situation with Senator Ernst?
And maybe while we're waiting to, I just really appreciate that everybody has taken the time to get together on these types of calls. And I know that we've heard from many in your area as well with questions on the PPP and so forth, and providing those stories. And that has been really, really helpful for me as I'm working with Senator Rubio and Senator Cardin on some of these small business issues. To really set the stage and show them what it's like, maybe more so in rural America, and the challenges that we have. And so Anytime that you have an issue or have a particular story, whether it is a challenge you've had that's been difficult to overcome, or even if it's part of these programs that is really working well, please let us know that too. Oftentimes we hear about the things that aren't working right, and which is great, and that's so important so that we can get things fixed. But if something is the way you want to see it, we need to know that too, so we don't go back and change it and make it untenable. So just let us know where we're doing well, and let us know what we can do better. I need to hear on both fronts so that we can maintain the really good things and then continuously improve the other items that need improvement.
Do you happen to know on the SBA EIDL program, has
Right.
will that be replenished as well?
Right.
I haven't heard anything on that.
There is a plan to replenish that as well, and hopefully we will see that coming out at the same time as we see the PPP. So the intent is to do the EIDL, to do PPP, to provide additional supports for our rural hospitals. We believe somewhere around another $75 billion there, and combine that into one package and move it forward. Now that was kind of the latest that I had heard on that. So we'll see what those final negotiations bring forward. But yeah, it does sound like we'll have that economic injury disaster loan assistance as well.
Good.
And Senator Ernst, this is Jeff Gribben with First Citizens Bank. Not trying to dominate the call from First Citizens, but one of the things that could help, and going back to that 10-day rule, it's not just the funding piece of that makes it hard, but it's also, once you get the application in, I think it creates a log jam, and everyone knows it's
Right.
first come, first served.
Right.
So if there's a way that that we can, because obviously the first plan was meant to go through June 30. Well, June 30 will never be reached with
Right.
as fast as this money's going away. So wondering if there's any thought to how they can help slow the application process down so that people can plan or make different plans.
Yeah, and we have talked about that as well with Secretary Mnuchin on maybe extending out the time period of application. But of course, folks are filing right now. They really, really want to make sure that they are taking advantage of the program. And yes, so we will do the best we can in working with Treasury on this issue and SBA. But I just have a feeling these dollars will go quickly as well, which is why we're trying to encourage lenders and those that need access to the program continue going through the application process, even though those funds aren't available yet. So continue to apply. That way you're in the queue and ready to go. And as soon as we have the funds available, we'll get those pushed out to our local lenders. So, but discussions are out there. How we move forward with it, now we'll continue working with Secretary Mnuchin.
And not to put you on the spot, Mary Ingham, but I did notice you're on the call. You know, this situation has also taken a toll on people personally and in their home lives and added stress. Mary, would you be able to share any experiences in a general way with Senator Ernst? If you can unmute.
I think she's dialing in.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Mary's our Director of Crisis Intervention Services.
Great.
And does a terrific job with assisting vulnerable people.
Right. Yes, I did have a call earlier today with the Iowa Behavioral Health Association as well. And we talked about those supports that we were able to fund in the CARES package, and then as well what we can do moving forward and making sure that those supports are remaining through the extended period of this crisis. It will be just very, very important. You know, one of the participants in that call had stated that we know substance abuse doesn't just stop because of a pandemic. Other crises don't stop just because of a pandemic. So we do need those supports available, and especially maybe during a pandemic, because we have a lot of people that are either isolated or maybe even those that are in not healthy environments that are trapped in that environment together. So yes, it's an issue. Mary, did you get on?
Okay, is there anyone else with a question?
Mary's still trying. I see
Okay.
her little chat box here. Boy, technology, I tell you, this has been amazing to be able to do these Zoom meetings and Microsoft Office Teams meetings and all of this. But I sure miss seeing everybody face to face.
Well, exactly, and this might be a good time also. Governor Reynolds announced today Test Iowa, and I would just encourage everyone on this call, and especially with your, and also to encourage all of your team members and staff to go to testiowa.com and take the assessment. The governor is encouraging everyone to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. It looks like Jackie Smith has a question as well. Let's see. She's not on the audio portion. Oh, hey. But she's asking about further discussion, including community newspapers and any of the support funding measures. I actually that's a very timely question because I just signed on to a letter that is encouraging OMB and federal agencies to direct more of their messaging and advertising to local newspapers and local advertisers. So we don't want to just see all of those federal dollars, you know, as we're pushing out information about COVID-19, we don't want to see all of those dollars just going to those large media outlets. We want to see our local folks supported as well.
Okay, and we have a question from Shannon Latham.
Oh, yes. Hey, Shannon.
Good afternoon, Senator. I just wanted to say how much we appreciate broadband hopefully getting moved to the front burner. The last Zoom call I was on, I lost connection twice. And it's definitely something that our business, which is literally located in the middle of cornfields, continues to battle. It's, as you know, it's a detriment for growth for small businesses. So thanks for your support for that.
Oh, you bet. No, Shannon, thank you. And such a great point with that. And we have seen just a skyrocket in telehealth as well. So not only do we need this type of support for our small businesses in our rural areas, but also supporting the needs of seniors, as we were talking about behavioral health as well, being able to utilize those types of technologies to just benefit Iowans is really important. So we are going to keep pushing that, and hopefully we get that broadband connectivity dollars out there. And as I've said a couple times with a number of other groups, that the pandemic is horrible. I wish we were not going through this, but it really has brought to light some of the struggles that we have in rural America. And those people that live in the more urban areas, those congressmen, those senators, they're starting to understand why this is so important to us. So I think the pandemic has really given us a platform that we haven't seen before.
Great. I think Mary made it on.
I made it on. If you actually type in meeting ID instead of the password repeatedly. That works best. So I work at Crisis Intervention Service. We work primarily with individuals and families that have been impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, homicide, and other violent crime. The pandemic has been quite the boom for our business. Just within the first 2 weeks, we saw a 20% increase in people reaching out for crisis services and a 60% increase in people reaching out for financial assistance, and that's primarily housing assistance.
Right.
So we were very excited to see the increase in funding in the Emergency Solutions Grant through HUD to help people stay in their housing if that's where they need to stay, or get new housing through rapid rehousing, which is great. Our concern is just the ability to continue to meet that ongoing need. You know, we're able to, just to use pandemic terms, you know, we're able to meet the current need. I don't know how we're going to meet that surge, because each day, I think for people that are trapped at home with someone using power and control, life gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
We worry about those teenagers who used to connect with us during school, who now don't have that safe outlet. So we thank you for all the work you're doing. And also, as a positive to the PPP, we applied through a local bank, and they were so very helpful. You know, we're good at serving victims of trauma. We're not always the best at accounting and things like that. I mean, we're very good with accountability, but our local bank was just wonderful to work with. So we're grateful for that.
Oh, very good, Mary, and a lot of really wonderful points there. One of the folks that was on the Behavioral Health Association call that I did earlier today from Ames, he said they've actually seen a decrease in the number of calls they're getting from young people and kids on their hotline because the kids aren't in a safe space to make those calls, or they don't have the data plans, and there aren't as many restaurants open with those free Wi-Fi hotspots. And so we know that it's not signaling a decrease in abuse. It's just signaling that those kids don't have an outlet or don't have a way to reach out. And so, you know, a lot of issues there, but thanks so much for all that you're doing and working on. One of my priorities for a phase 4 package and working with a number of advocates, whether it's domestic abuse or sexual assault, whatever situation is out there, and those advocates that really pushing for additional dollars that will benefit those types of nonprofits and those types of agencies. Often those agencies are overlooked when we're looking at that bigger picture of making sure we're funding small businesses and, you know, our healthcare systems. We need to make sure that this vulnerable population is taken care of as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, Mary. Thank you.
It looks like we have a call from, or I mean a question from Nick Kruzelnicki. Nick is with the local CBS affiliate TV station. Go ahead, Nick.
Great.
Senator Ernst, thank you for doing this Zoom call with us here today. Quick question. I just kind of wanted to know, I've been hearing a lot of states are starting to kind of run thin when it comes to money for unemployment and paying those out to people. What's being done at the federal level to make sure the states don't run out of that money?
Yeah, we had about $250 billion that was extended across the United States for additional unemployment insurance assistance, and a portion of that came to Iowa as well. So we will monitor that situation. What we are facing, though, is that some of the folks that have been laid off from their jobs then are actually making more because of the UI bolstering, and they are hesitant to go back to their employers, even though some of those employers may be reopening, because they are making more money on unemployment than they were in their jobs. And so not only are we using unemployment insurance faster, because there is a significant need, but we're actually paying some people more than what they would make at their employer. So there's a couple of issues there. We want to make sure that those that need that unemployment insurance have that opportunity, but we also want to make sure that when those jobs are available, that they are returning to employment. So we will continue to work through that situation, but we know it's a significant one. We have not seen anything like this in recent history.
All right, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
You bet, Nick. Thank you.
Well, if we don't have additional calls or additional questions, Senator, I'd just really like to thank you for taking this time with our members to share information, and we really have our fingers crossed that later today the Senate will reach agreement on this and pass this and send it over to the House.
Absolutely. We're praying out here and really pushing. So those things that we've been able to resolve, we're very thankful for. But a number of the issues that many of you have brought up, whether it was in the gaming area, of course, the UI, other issues, the C6 issues, those are the issues that we will continue pushing and working on. We would love to see some resolution in those areas as well. But thanks everybody for joining the call today and sharing your thoughts. It's good to see everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Stay safe. Thank you.